Hello and welcome to the Path of Least Resistance. I am Diversity, and today we're going to go over the July 2025 monthly challenge list. This month I believe will be a bit easier than last month. There were 7 small stuff modifiers last month. This month there are 0. We have a couple mortal marks and a couple only the strong to watch out for, and then there's just some random other stuff. There's a lot of like medium to hard difficulty champions too, but I think overall it should be fairly easy. So for this first set, we're just kind of using fillers here. So I'm using Sudden Twisted Fate because they're new. I think Twisted Fate on 5 is probably bad. He's going to die to Ezreal immediately because of Blinking Flames. And then also you do have Ezreal plus Blinking Flames, so anything that you play with 2 or less health is going to die instantly to the Static Shock. So just be aware of that. I think it'll be fine. And I just like playing the newer champions for the early adventures. Just kind of to remind myself how they play. For 7, 8, and 9, I'm using Diana. Mostly because I want to use Diana on 8, and honestly, putting in the fillers is the hardest part of making the spreadsheet for me. But Diana plus Combat Awareness is really strong. And then also Diana plus Unstoppable Force is really strong. Where there's Unstoppable Force, normally we're using Troll King's Crown. You can use Gale Force instead. Or whatever, it probably doesn't ultimately matter. You can just use another thing that gives you power like Caulfield's Warhammer. Or another Grand General's Counterplan, something like that is fine. Bounty Hunter's Renown is also fine. Just make sure you don't spend any gold if you're going that route. For this Karma, we could use anything. I'm using Nami because when I see Price of Progress, I usually put Nami there, but because Karma has Guided Meditation, you could probably literally use anything and it would be fine. For this 11, you have Blinking Flames. I'm going to use Samira here. Samira is just like a pretty good champion and makes a good filler. Blinking Flames will take advantage of the 1 damage pings that she has, so I'm pretty happy with that. Foe's Nexus is tough, and I don't know if that matters. Probably won't. 12 is going to be your first difficult challenge. You have Zed and Kai'Sa, who are strong champions. You also have Only the Strong, which is round and kill all units except each player's strongest. So you're only going to have 1 unit. And then we also have Creeping Chill, which will frostbite that unit at the round start, so you can't use your normal techniques. You're either going to need to win in 1 round or use Swarm or do something that doesn't rely on units. So we're going to use Ahri here because Ahri can just dodge with the recalls, and every time you play her again, she's going to deal damage to the Nexus because of Curator's Gatebreaker and double her power. Just make sure you don't use Hymn of Valor when you have 0 power and you should be fine. There's a couple minimalists. We're going to use Evelynn. Evelynn is great into minimalist because she costs 4 and she grows very strong very fast, especially if you can play her in the early rounds. This one's just a filler. There's a Vestige of Helia here, so I think there's a couple Vestige of Helia, and I've decided to use Ahri for that. Ahri is uninteractable, which is why it's good. And also the cost reduction means you can recall for cheaper. For Ezreal, we're going to tend towards using LeBlanc. LeBlanc, I think, just straight counters Ezreal, so that's pretty good. For the rest of the Only the Strong, we're using Varus, so on this Talia, on this Victor, I think there's one more later, yeah, this 36. So we're going to use Varus. Varus should be able to win in like 1 or 2 rounds. And probably when you get your second attack token. And then 18 through 20. Okay, 18 and 19. We're gonna use Viego just because I can think of a filler to use, and Viego is fun to use. Should be fine even at 3 stars. For 21, I'm using Jhin. This is gonna be Azur with Big Feast, which probably isn't that big of a deal because most of his power comes from the Sand Soldiers, which are going to die anyway, but Azur's going to be a little bit harder to remove because of Big Feast, so you might want to use something stronger than Veigar. Veigar does like 2 damage around. Jhin will do considerably more, although you do have to live until you can play Jhin, so there's that. And then here's just more Viego, this is filler. For the 2 Chronicle of Ruin, we're using Teemo. I like the Star Gem Teemo, you just get infinite Teemos and it's really funny. For 24, I'm using Annie here. Annie's good against Zed because she can stun Zed, because you get that free stun every round. Guile, you get a free Guile every round. And then at these lower levels, the Dreadway Chase Gun should basically just kill the enemy Nexus. It shouldn't be a problem. Annie's strong either way. You can easily do like 4-star content, sometimes 5-star content, without having to really worry about thinking too much. Whenever we see Fiora, we use Kindred. I think that's just, Kindred's a perfect counter. For 27, we're using filler, so I have Lux Illuminated pretty early on the filler list here. And for this Arms Race, we're using Annie, which Arms Race giving you 2 Funsmiths plus double Dreadway Chase Gun should be close to a 1-shot. And then we're also using Annie on this Caitlyn. I think that if Annie dies to Caitlyn's Puff Caps, or Flash Trap Bombs, she'll revive with Guardian Angel and you'll be able to use your 4 warning shots again. Should kill it just fine. For this Kai'Sa, we're using Jhin. Jhin is strong and Kai'Sa is strong, so it's a good pairing. I'm not too concerned about it. There is Endure, which just gives you +1/+1. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. And the Power of Observation for Hextech Observatory should probably do nothing. It's Katarina at 31. I'm like somewhat worried about if Katarina gets to do things. It'll be pretty bad. There's also Remove the Imperfection, so every time Katarina replays, it'll send stuff back to your hand. So for this, I'm just using Volibear with Triple Stalker's Blade. If you don't have Triple Stalker's Blade, just use as many as you have. When Volibear hits the ground, it's just going to clear the entire board, and then you won't have to worry about anything. Katarina, if she can't be replayed, is basically useless, but you do have to watch for that. When she plays the first time, she's going to give everything +2/+2. So if you have something that can just remove her whole board, like Volibear with Triple Stalker's Blade, I think that will be good. We're just using filler here for this Gangplank. Frenzy Fighting is gonna be really good on Lux. You'll just attack once and win the game. Using Transmogulator here, just trying it out, see how it feels. If you have Fear Cleaving Axe, you're gonna want to use that. And if you don't have for 4-star, you're going to want to use something with Overwhelm. So you could like switch out Tempest Blade for Troll King's Crown. I think Crown Guard Inheritance should probably stay. You could actually leave both of those and just turn Transmogulator into Troll King's Crown as well. I think that would be fine. And we're using Lux again here. I'm not really worried about Lux. Like Lux Illuminated is very strong and shouldn't have any problems. Normally I use her towards the end because she's just so powerful. This is animated armor. So Zed, actually, I don't think... Actually, Lee Sin, too. Both of these, Lee Sin uses the ability, that the spell that gives +2/+0, so that's not going to do anything with animated armor, which gives everything formidable. And Zed, most of his units are like high power, low health. So, yeah, I'm not worried about this at all. Veigar should clean up. And then Azur, with the repetition, we're just going to use Nami because of repetition. Should just kill, shouldn't be a problem at all. Only the strong, like I said, we're using Varus. For this Jinx, we're just using filler, so I'm using Kindred here, and we're using Kindred on this Fiora. And for Azur, using Yasuo here because on Dying Rage, I think just having more control will be pretty good. Why do I not have Tempest Blade here? That is... Crown Guard Inheritance is the one that should go out. Okay. So definitely use Tempest Blade when you're using Yasuo. I gotta check to make sure if I actually put that there. Yeah, okay. Fix that. Yeah, so if you're using Yasuo, use Tempest Blade. Don't use not Tempest Blade. But you could substitute Crown Guard Inheritance for Troll King's Crown. It gives you a source of Overwhelm. Yasuo can take a long time to win games because he can be jump blocked, but if you have a source of Overwhelm, then that's not a problem. You can also use Crown Guard Inheritance and get an extra attack. Kind of doesn't really matter. He'll eventually win no matter what. Against this Ezreal, we're using LeBlanc, and I think LeBlanc will also be fine against Aurelia. There is mana flow here, and so that'll be an Aurelia on turn 1. You won't be able to drop LeBlanc until turn 2. That might be a problem if she can get a lot of attacks in. She should only get 2 before you can drop LeBlanc, and as soon as LeBlanc is on the board, you should win the game. But if you take a loss there, wouldn't surprise me. But you also have Guardian Angel to get an extra revive, so. 41, we're using just Yasuo because I have extra Yasuo against Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa's strong. Mortal Mark Zed, we're using Jack. Jack should be able to clear the board regularly. And then Yasuo against this Zed with Tryndamere. Tryndamere has the Undying Rage power, so just having those extra stuns should be fine. For Draven, we're using Master Yi because of natural magic. That'll let Master Yi get up to infinite stats if you want. If you have Chosen by the Stars, be sure to use that. 45, 46, we're using Needly as a filler. You'll also be able to take advantage of the Dune Striders on 46. And yeah, I don't think it'll be a problem. On 45, there is a potential that Remove the Imperfection could recall the bush. I'm not sure if that happens, but that's something that to watch out. If it happens, it'll be kind of funny, but you should still win. Not super worried about this. Elder Dragon, because of Guided Meditation on 47. It's Caitlyn and Victor, shouldn't be an issue. They have Mana Flow too, which does nothing with Guided Meditation, so there is that. 48 has Trick of the Light, which summons a Mirror Mage, and then also Welcome to the Murder Bridge, so they get free champions, and then they can play, if they play them, it'll happen twice. I'm just using Jhin here. I think Jhin will clear out anything. You'll get double usage on the created spell. Captive Audience. You'll get double Captive Audience, so that should feel pretty good there. I'm using Elise on this Tryndamere. It should kill it fast enough that it's not an issue. At 49, and then 50, we're using Veigar. Veigar should stop Aurelia immediately. Same thing though, Aurelia has mana flow here, so it should play on round 1. You might need 2 rounds to build up enough darkness to kill her, but once she's dead, you should be fine. I'd consider turning a Luden's Tempest into a Guardian Angel if you have like bad draw. You don't really need double Luden's Tempest. Minimalist, again, we're using Evelynn here. Azure and Aurelia at 52. We're using Veigar again. Should be fine, especially with Blinking Flames. That'll give you the extra damage you need to just kill them both pretty early. Again, Vestige of Helia, we're using Ahri. On this Misfortune, we're using Jinx because there's Mortal Marks and we have extra Jinx. On 55, we're using Elise, should be fine. I'm not sure if Sovereign's Domination will give them a Spider Lane with all of the buffs, but they should die in like 1 round anyway, so shouldn't be an issue. Using LeBlanc for Ezreal again. There is Frenzied Fighting here, but the Sharpened Resolve spell should take care of all the damage that you're taking. Draven Viego, we're just using Elise. If a unit dies, they'll get 2 of them because of Viego's power and Sovereign's Domination. So this might actually be harder than I think it is. But, I don't know, Elise is really strong. Should be fun. 58, we have... Elise is only strong, by the way, if you have Gale Force, so if you don't have Gale Force, do something else. 58 is Aurelia with Formidable and Power Overwhelming. Formidable makes it so that like a lot of normal strategies are going to be harder to use. You could still use Vigor if you had. That would be fine. But it is something I'm worried about. Lulu also plays Swarms, so if you get swarmed with Power Overwhelming, that might be a lot of damage that you take. I'm just going to throw Jinx at the problem. 59 is Victor with Price of Progress. We're just using Nami. Nami should just one-shot Victor basically as soon as she's on board. 60 we have Scout and Undying Rage with Darius and Lee Sin. I'm actually a little... or it's not Scout, sorry. It's Strike Double Power. Either way, I'm a little bit worried about it because of the Undying Rage. It's going to be hard to remove things. So I'm using Fiddlesticks. The Gloom will be able to lower the stats directly without necessarily killing the units. And I think that should be enough. But... and my Fiddlesticks is 6-star, so I'm definitely not going to have a problem. But I think it should be fine either way. Just make sure that you're not necessarily killing the units, but getting them low with a 1-cost spell that reduces, that applies Gloom to multiple units. Darius also has Hemorrhage, so that's something to watch out for as well. They also have Withstand, so they'll keep getting stronger. You're going to want to use something strong here. And my solution is Fiddlesticks. As soon as he's on the board, everything should die and it should be fine. So 61, 62, not really worried about. 64, same. We're just going to use Garen here. And Garen is strong, so it should be fine. On 63, there's Demacian Might 2 with Draven. So Draven, if he levels up, will actually be a complete menace. He shouldn't level up. There's also Unnatural Selection, which is Player Evolve, so that doesn't help them. I'm just going to use Morgana. We should be able to stun all of Draven's units, and then we don't have to worry about Demacian Might 2. And then the curses will eventually kill them. On 65, we have Ezreal with Zed and Power Overwhelming. I'm a little concerned about this, but I think I might be overly concerned about this, so I'm going to use Jinx on it. You might, I don't know, potentially you can move this Jinx over to 60, and then move something from 60, like Fiddlesticks, over to 65, and that should be fine. It's just a Power Overwhelming plus both Zed and Ezreal is a little concerning to me, but I don't know. Maybe overall it's probably not an issue, but Jinx will just kill it instantly, so there's nothing to worry about. 66, I'm using Fiddlesticks just to deal with the Undying Rage from Trandamir. Also Fiddlesticks is incredible, so it'll be fine. And then we're using Ambessa just to finish off the end. Savage Mysticism will give you extra mana so you can play Ambessa a little bit earlier here. And then Beyond Mere Flesh on Lulu, I don't think is that much. They do have Elusive on a lot of units, but once Ambessa comes down, the strikes should kill it. We're using Elder Dragon for this guided meditation. It's also Nautilus, so we're not really that concerned. And then we're just using Ambessa again here. This is Kai'Sa with Demacian Might 2. I think can be a little concerning, but we're just going to kill everything as soon as Ambessa hits the board, and she should hit the board before Kai'Sa does, or around the same time. So I think it'll be okay. After Image, we'll get them an Ephemeral Dead Follower every round, so you're going to want to kill her as soon as possible. This might be a mistake, but I think it'll be fine. Ambessa, like generally speaking, doesn't have issues. And then for 70, we have Scout, so I'm using Ambessa again because I think it'll be fun. And then we also have the double strikes to get rid of Darius's units. Darius with Scout. Again, Darius is something that can swarm the board, so having a way to get rid of it through like the strikes from Stalker's Blades is important. And that is what I plan on doing for this month. As I go through it, and there will be a video every day, as I go through it, we'll see if I'm right, and I'll make changes to the spreadsheet if anything comes up that I didn't think about. Anyway, that is all for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what I'm doing, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.